The next question, Mr. Gordon, take first, and it has to do with campaign finance reforms. And the question is, what election and/or campaign finance reforms do you support?
Let me address this question with a couple of thoughts. First of all, I would like to see a way to reduce the influence and power of money in our electoral process. One of my thoughts recently has been that I've been more enamored with the kind of the parliamentary process where elections are called, and usually you get a 60, 90-day window of campaigning. I'm not convinced that campaigning for years and years and years really does us all that well. Be one way to reduce the cost. I also think that we do need to look at the issue of public financing to make sure that we have a level playing field. But finally, most importantly, I'm very, very concerned about the independent expenditures that are made on campaigns. That's why I was the author of Assembly Bill 481, which the governor signed. That piece of legislation requires greater transparency for these committees that put ads on television, put ads on billboards, and in our newspapers. They'll now have to identify who are the top 2 funders of those ads. Who is the committee responsible? Who is the individual responsible? I think as a public, particularly, we need to know who is paying for our elections and who is trying to buy our vote. Greater transparency will do that, and that's why I'm very, very pleased that the governor signed Assembly Bill 481, which I authored.
Mr. Yang.
The issue of money and politics is in this November election, and that is Prop 32. I strongly recommend a yes vote on that proposition because it does 3 things. Number 1, it stops both unions and corporations from giving money directly to candidates, like myself or like Mr. Gordon. I think Mr. Gordon does have great relationships with the insurance companies, the banking industries, as well, in addition to the public sector unions. So good for him, but not so good for me. The second thing that Prop 32 does is that if you have a contractual relationship with an agency, you are not supposed to give money to the people who make those decisions whether or not you get that contract. That goes back to the example I gave earlier about the mayor of Guangzhou. The number 3 thing is that if you are a union and if you want to use your members' money for political purposes, then you need to go to them and ask. My wife is a member of a public sector union. And I really appreciate that they actually come and ask us whether or not they want to use money and give money to various causes that I might not find, agreeable. So instead of waiting about the independent expenditure, the PACs, those are federal issues. That's not something that the state can deal with right now. Therefore, we must pass Prop 32 and set an example to the rest of the country what we can do here in California.